Hello and welcome to another review from Colour with Claire. Today I'm reviewing the very highly anticipated Colourist Special Effects 2 by Helen Elliston. This is a sequel to the first book here, Colourist Special Effects, which I have used hundreds and hundreds of times to colour in all different things that I didn't know how to do before. I've learnt so much from Helen's book and I was just so excited for this second one. It feels like an age that I've been waiting for it, and Helen must be really annoyed because I've just kept asking, when is it going to come out and how is it going, you know. But I've been just so looking forward to getting another book full of amazing, really easy to follow tutorials, and this definitely doesn't disappoint. So first of all, we'll get all the boring bits out of the way. So the book is exactly the same format and published as the first book. So it's published by Amazon CreateSpace. It has a soft touch matte cover, as you can see, which is full colour and features some of the tutorials you'll find inside. So we have a page here from Helen which just tells you about the free practice sheets that you can get on her website that go along with this book, so that you can practice some of the tutorials on those sheets. And then there's a few acknowledgements here, of which I mentioned, which I was super excited about. As I say, probably because I've just been messaging her and we chat about the book and ideas and stuff. So yeah, really pleased that I've been mentioned actually. And then we've got Helen's other books, which you can check out. These are actually her colouring books themselves, which she has loads of. And then we get straight into the guides. Now there are 66 step-by-step guides in this book. It's absolutely chocker packed full of tutorials. So if you thought the first book was brilliant, which it is, and it was packed full, this book again does not disappoint. It's absolutely filled with loads and loads more things to learn how to colour. So we have the index here, which gives us a list of everything that's included, both in sections and the individual things as well. So the first category is tasty treats. So the first tutorial is the fresh green apple. Now Helen does her step-by-step tutorials in a very particular way. So the step-by-steps are actually coloured digitally, and then there will always be the last step which she's actually coloured herself and taken a photograph of, so that you can see what it's actually meant to look like with pencils. So why she does it digitally is because you can more easily see the layers of colour that need to go on in stages. So for example, here we have this canary yellow, and then on the second stage she's showing you where to put the next colour, and on the third stage we have a darker colour still. So it's just easier that way, because I think if she did it step by step in real time, so to speak, you wouldn't be able to see where she's putting each different colour. It would be a bit more difficult because obviously it's more blended and you know, seamless, so it'd be quite difficult. But as in the first book, Helen leaves you some practice line art to do right there on the page, so you don't have to keep flicking through to the back or anything like that, so you can practice it on the page. Now this is Helen's finished one and this one is mine. I've just put a bit of black around it because I went quite out of the edges. I was being a bit lazy with my colouring. But as you can see, I think this has turned out really well. I did start getting a bit of, what do they call it? You know, where you burnish it too much and it starts getting a bit speckly, because I was obviously using Prismacolor pencils, which all of the tutorials are done in this book with. So, but yeah, I think it turned out really well actually. Then we have a rainbow cupcake, and this one goes over 2 pages. So this one was Helen's finished cupcake and this one was mine. It's not perfect, but I'm really pleased with the way that the case has turned out, especially. Probably work a bit better on the icing next time. So we have an iced donut, glossy red grapes, strawberry ice cream and glossy chocolate sauce. Absolutely, it's just delicious the way she's drawn these and, you know, describes them. Tasty macaroons, orange pumpkin. This one was one that Helen released early for Halloween, so that people could learn how to colour pumpkins for their Halloween colouring. We have lovely juicy strawberries, and this beautiful foil wrapped sweet looks like something you've picked up out of the Quality Street tin, and I can't wait to do that one actually. We have another suite, just in case you wanted to do a different shape and see where all those different folds go. And then we have a picture which includes all of the things we've just seen for you to practice and do one big spread on. This is also one-sided, so you don't have to worry about ruining any instructions or other illustrations. So this next section is the natural world, and I'll just explain a little bit before we go further that Helen has actually used Prismacolors all throughout this book. So if you're using Polychromos or anything like that, any other different pencil that's not Prismacolor, there is actually a chart included in this book, which I made myself and allowed Helen to use in the book, which converts Prismacolors to Polychromos. So they're the two most used pencils in the colouring world. So I thought that would be really handy for you guys. So we have the bokeh lights background, which is really popular again in colouring. We've got beautiful multicoloured feathers, and again we have the line art for you to practice on. We also have a fluffy peacock feather, so there's different types of the same item included, because obviously feathers don't always look like that. Sometimes you have to colour peacocks and they're completely different in shape as well, so that's great. We have flames, that's another thing, people colouring fireplaces and things like that. And then we move on to flowers. So this is the hibiscus, absolutely gorgeous. We have the red anthurium, again line art for you to practice on. Now we've got the red-eyed tree frog, and this one was really fun to do. So this one here is Helen's finished frog, and this one here is mine, and I think it turned out really well actually. Really enjoyed doing it. Quite interesting to use the blue and the lilac, because it's not really colours you would think of to use on a tree frog, but it works, it looks amazing. So that's the part 2. And then we have how to colour grass, because again in lots of colouring pages there's often a green grass area, or any colour grass, but this is how to colour them realistically. We've got the hummingbird, which comes in 2 parts. We've got a 3D ladybird, and different types of leaves. Obviously leaves are one of the main things that we all colour, especially if you colour Johanna Basford books. We have different types of leaves here, so we've got this jungle palm type leaf, and we've got this more standard leaf shape, and she tells you how to make it look really shiny and glossy. Helen's also included a pretty silver leaf, so not something you often see, silver leaves, but it's going to make your colouring really pop and stand out and look different from everyone else's. Now here is a beautiful multicoloured leaf tutorial. So these are Helen's finished leaves, and this one here is mine. As you can see, it looks pretty similar to the finished ones, so that's just a testament to how brilliant the tutorials are to follow. Very, very easy to follow, and they do work, which is the most important thing. So we move on to gemstones here. So we've got tumbled ametrine, we've got sodalite, we've got malachite, tumbled hemalite, red jasper, sunstone, and then a beautiful iridescent shell. So again, just to remind you, all of these steps are done digitally, and then at the very end you will have the coloured example from Helen. So what I do normally is, when I'm doing these tutorials, I do obviously use the step-by-steps on my line art, but I always reference back to this finished coloured pencil picture, because often when you're following these digital steps, if you just follow those, it can sometimes turn out a bit differently to how it's supposed to look with the pencil, because this is all blended and, you know, been burnished and stuff, and obviously these haven't, but the steps do tell you when to burnish and blend and things like that. So really easy to follow, as I say, but just keep referencing back to that end finished piece. This one's absolutely gorgeous, a turbo shell. It's really shiny and awesome. And then we have a sea foam and sand background. So how to make those watery, sandy, beachy backgrounds. Now, one thing you might have noticed is that in the blue text here we have some French. Helen put this in because obviously she has French readers, and it's not on every single step, but it is there when the steps would be a little bit difficult to decipher to someone who's not English. So we have that there. Then we have bubbles. We've got snow, which is another really popularly used thing in colouring books, especially at this time of year with the Christmas colouring books. And it's also quite a difficult one to do, snow, because it's a lot of greys and icy blues and things like that. Now here is my Prismacolor and Polychromos chart, which I talked about earlier. So you have the Prismacolor colour and the Polychromos alternative. So the Prismacolor are in the squares, and Helen's just changed the Polychromos to circles just to make it easier to differentiate. I should have done that really, it looks a lot better. And then we have some inspiration swatches here, so different colour palettes for using on your different pages. And then we have another line art page which incorporates all of the leaves and flowers and a few open spaces for the gems as well. This one is obviously to practice your iridescent shells and other tumbled stones. And the next section is 3D shapes and objects. So we have Anchor, which is again used a lot in things like mermaid colouring and ocean books. We've got a bubbling cauldron, ideal for Halloween and Gothic colouring. Then we have this beautiful, rather unusual crackled glass light ball. So this is Helen's finished one, and this one is mine. It's not perfect by any means, and I would love to give it another go. I'll probably give it a few more tries on here. But again, really effective, and just something different to do with your open shapes. So we've got glass bottles. So glass can be notoriously difficult to colour. Helen did touch on that on her wine glasses in the last book, but this one is how to create a bit more of a thicker rounded glass look. So we've got a lighthouse, another popular colouring item, and also how to do the rocks around the lighthouse and a bit of the sky as well. These often appear in books, obviously with buildings and architecture, so these onion domes, and they can be quite difficult to know how to colour with them being rounded, but you know, some of them look more flat, and it's just trying to get it looking 3D and realistic, which is what Helen has done here. And there's two different colours and types of dome. This one is the marble page, which I was really excited about. So Helen's finished marble is here and mine's here. Again, not perfect, but I've given it a go, and you know, it's effective, and it, from a distance, it looks like a real marble. So we've got a terracotta plant pot. We've got faceted red heart gemstones. So we learned how to do a 3D heart in the first book, and this one is showing us how to do it faceted. So with lots of different flat edges on the stone. This one looks awesome, skull and crossbones, but it's not just your normal grey skull. This is a beautiful pinky, orangey, gorgeous skull. So I can't wait to do that one, and that's how it turns out, so awesome. And we've got a couple of skulls here to practice on with some gem elements as well. This one was awesome, glossy unicorn horn. Now, I absolutely love unicorns, and there's loads of unicorn colouring pages and books out there, so this is a great one. And this is Helen's finished one, and this is my finished one, and I think it turned out really well. Really happy with that, and again, it's just a testament to the ease of the instructions. So we have a 3D star, and then another page which incorporates all of those elements we've just learned. Again, this is more of a Halloween-y page where you can do the cauldron and the flames and the skull. Now we move on to metal and steampunk. Now steampunk is obviously quite a big category in the colouring world as well. So it's awesome that there's a whole category dedicated to this. So we have the antique clock, which also uses salt to give a beautiful speckled and vintage look to the clock. And this is the finished piece which you can achieve by doing this, and a couple of clocks for you to practice on as well. We then have a silver spoon. Obviously metal can be quite difficult because light bounces off it in different places, so this is a really good tutorial. We then have the distressed steampunk cog, which turns out like this. As you can see, the finished piece again looks very different to the step-by-steps which are done digitally, so do keep referring when you're colouring back to that finished piece. We have brass tone metal, which looks absolutely stunning. It looks real, like you can pick it up off the page when it's finished, so I can't wait to do that one either. We've got a cog and a lock. We've got a steampunk stopper and a key, and a steampunk copper pipe as well. So again, you can also use the colours that Helen uses to create copper on different surfaces. You don't have to just be the pipe. And then we have a steampunk colouring page. Now we move on to skin tone. So Helen did some skin tone in her first book, but excuse me, it was only one type of skin tone, and ever since I've been following that tutorial, I've been using the exact same type of skin tone on every single lady that I colour. So it's awesome to get different skin tone colours as well. And not only that, but Helen's included different limbs and different angles as well, which I've never seen on colouring techniques. You know, normally when people say skin tone, they're just colouring faces and necks. But here we've got legs bent, we've got arms in a different position from the front. We've got legs on the front view, and we've got bent legs as well. And here we've got the rear view of the legs and the side view of the legs as well. We then have different skin tones. This is tanned and bronze. We've got the side of the face, the profile. So often it's done from straight on, but this is the profile of the face as well. And then we have a taffeta fabric dress, which looks absolutely stunning when it's finished. I love the purple and the blue together. It's just beautiful. And then a few dresses for you to practice on. We have another dress here, again from the side view, so you know where to put all those different creases if it's not at a front angle. And then we've got a bit of a practice bit here. Now this one doesn't have a step-by-step, but it just asks you to test your copying skills. So obviously there's only a few colours used on these. They're not, you know, really intricate with loads of different pencils. So it's really interesting to try and learn how to copy, because that then reinforces your own skills. Instead of just following someone step-by-step, you're copying this and putting the colours where you think they go, and it will probably stay in your mind. So you'll be able to colour that again and again. We've got a couple of dresses and ladies to colour here to practice your front and side legs on. And we've got a side view and a few more elements from the book here as well. And we've come to the end. So as you can see, it's absolutely packed full of brilliant tutorials. If you haven't got the first book, get them both. They both complement each other really well. They're both full of amazing techniques. They're all different. There's no duplicates or anything, obviously, so get both if you haven't got that one already. Now it sells on Amazon UK for £15.85 at the moment, and it sells on Amazon US for $22.89. Those links are in the description of this video for you to go and buy or check them out. And just a little disclaimer, Helen has agreed to me reviewing this book as a whole and showing each page, so please don't worry about Helen losing out or anything like that, because I did have a couple of comments last time when I reviewed the first book that I shouldn't have shown the whole book, but Helen's totally fine with that, so not to worry. So again, links are all in the description. Can't enthuse about this book enough, and I really hope there's going to be a book 3, 4, 5 and just carry on until every single object in the world is done. But yeah, thank you so much, Helen, for taking the time to create these excuse me, amazing tutorials for everybody to learn how to colour a little bit better. And yeah, just brilliant. Thanks so much. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon on Colour with Claire.